Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I'm Bill Snowden. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm your song leader today. Today's service explores our monthly theme of equity and the stress of making choices in our world today. And our opening hymn is I'm Gonna Lift My Sister Up. Please rise in body or spirit. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down. Gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up, he is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, you're not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down. We're gonna lift our neighbors up, they are not heavy. We're gonna lift our people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift our people up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if we don't lift them up, if we don't lift them up, we will fall down. Thank you, and please remain standing for the chalice lighting.
This is a weird mouse. So strange. Good morning. My name is Carrie Lifshitz, and I'm your worship associate for today. All right, let me make sure. And before I didn't even ask, I'm going to have, please join me as we recite our covenant, and Karen and Johnny come up and light our chalice. What? If you're watching remotely and you don't have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Or you do have a chalice with you, please light it with us. If you don't have a chalice with you, do the thumb. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant. Please be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I am Reverend Christine Dance. I use she and her pronouns, and I am so glad to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. Welcome home. No matter where you come from, how you identify, how you are used to worshiping, no matter who you love or where you come from, you are welcome here. Welcome as we explore the mysteries of being human together in community. We are so glad you are here. You may have noticed that we had some extra guests out front this morning. I want to tell you they are here to protest that we are collecting petitions for a woman's right to choose an abortion if she chooses to go on the Arizona ballot this fall. I am very proud that we are doing that work, and the fact that they notice it makes me feel even more committed to it. Yes. I want to give a special shout to our Safe Congregations team, because our team knew exactly how to handle this morning. We had a gentleman coming in, recording us. We knew how to trespass him. We knew how to say, "You don't have my consent." We knew how to turn it off. And as soon as he said, "Well, you can't even be a minister because you're a woman," I was like, "Yeah, you're gone. Let's go." So this, if you are new here, this is one of the many ways that we live our values in the world. If you are new, that you don't always get that welcome, and every service is a little bit different. You never know what's going to happen here. If you're new, if you're your first or second time, we'd love to have you wave so we can know who you are, and that folks around us can know to say hello to you. We have a few announcements about our community. We do have a two-session UU Roots class starting next Sunday. See Compass, our newsletter for that. And very excitingly, I hope that those people have to stay around for the entire length of both worship and our congregational meeting. We have a mid-year congregational meeting right after this service. My favorite words, the anarchists will be having a bake sale in between the service and the congregational meeting. I hear they will be serving some vegan chili if you are hungry. But we really encourage you to stay, whether you are a member of the congregation or not. It's a great time to hear what is happening with us financially, with our framework project, looking at what our future calls us to do, and other great information. Everyone is welcome. Now, let us take a deep breath and draw deeper into the present moment and into our worship.
Our opening words are from Tanya Marquez. It is now when we are called as witnesses of the world to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather. Let us give each other courage. Let us worship. I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for Together time.
Good morning, everyone. Such a warm good morning. I'm Katie Resendez, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at UUC Phoenix. I have a few things to talk to you about, very serious, but then I'll tell you a story. How does that sound? Yeah. Okay. Number one is that there were 2 flyers put among the seats this morning. Every row had at least one of each of the flyers. Probably no one had both of them. So if you have a flyer in front of you and you want to know what the other one says, what should you do?
Ask to see the other one.
Yeah, ask the people around you what the other one said. What if you're sitting somewhere and there were no flyers? What should you do?
Ask to see where another one is.
Ask to see where the other ones are and where they are. It's almost like if you talk to each other, you'll get all the information. And I will leave it as a mystery about what those flyers are about. But they are both very, very important, and they are literally for each and every one of you. Okay. Very special invitations. Actually, truly, a special invitation. So please take a look. The other thing is we're going to do something that we haven't been doing all year. And we're going to change something a little bit. Actually, this is kind of a joke because we've already started it, but starting next week, we will formally and officially be having our coming of age class leave partway through service. This feels a little yucky and a little hard because folks like Gianna and Monica and Isabel usually sit through service the whole time and are here and are part of this with us. And then we're able to do reflections afterwards and talk about how worship service was. But because of illnesses and injuries and lots of things that happened this fall, this class has a lot to do to finish up. And can you imagine having something called coming of age and being told you have to rush through it? So rather than putting extra stress on them during our time in the rooms, we're going to take some extra time out of worship service, and they're going to come and do some reflections. But we will start out here with you all. We will reflect on some of the big pieces and things, and we'll talk about it in the room. And we also know that you will miss us when we're gone. And if you see the middle school kids leaving, you see them coming back, remind them that their space is saved for them, that this sanctuary is also theirs, and that they are continued to be welcome here. Okay? A little shift, a little flexibility, because as a community, that's how we work. Okay. Anything else? Oh, right, that part. I forgot. Allie was born into a family that prayed every single night. Every night, they would all gather in the hallway. And his father would lead them and say, Heavenly Father. And he would entreat God to see the family and bless the family and understand them. And it was a very important part of family life, and it was part of how Allie knew that he was part of something. But when he was 6, something terrible happened, and he couldn't live with his family anymore. And the very first thing that yucky night was a police officer came and sat with him. And the police officer filled out paperwork and asked Allie lots and lots of questions. And then there was a quiet time. And Allie really appreciated that the police officer didn't feel the need to ask questions and to push or anything, but just sat quietly. And Allie found himself praying and then heard the police officer mumble, and then say, thank Allah, Da-na-na-na-na. And Allie immediately knew that the police officer was also praying, but didn't say Heavenly Father, said a different word. After sitting with the police officer for almost 12 hours, Allie went to stay at a house. And in that house, they had delicious food, a comfy blanket, and it was hard there. But they also prayed, and they prayed in the morning. Every single morning, they got up for about the week that Allie was there and prayed to Creator and would go outside, say, Creator, and greet the day. Allie then had to go stay at another place. And this one had lots of kids there and not very many adults. And they had set meal times and set bedtimes, and they all got walked to school together. And some of them went to church and some of them didn't. Some of them went to a temple, and Allie didn't really understand that. And some of them said they didn't pray at all. But they all were able to talk about God and what God is and who God is. And Allie was amazed to see that just in this one house he was living in, there were 12 names for God. He had known Heavenly Father, he had known Allah from the police officer, he knew Creator, but he also learned the Holy Spirit. He also learned Great Goddess. He learned so many of these words. And it felt kind of amazing and kind of comforting. And it didn't quite feel like saying a prayer in the hallway with his parents, but it did feel good. And it felt like guidance and caring. And Ollie had to live in that house for 2 weeks while they waited and waited to finish paperwork and phone calls and interviews so that his grandpa could come and get him and he could live with his grandpa. And when his grandpa did finally come get him, that very first night, do you know what they did in the hallway at his grandpa's house? They prayed, and they prayed to Heavenly Father. And Allie asked his grandpa, why are there so many different names for God? Allie's grandpa said, do you remember how many different people it took to get you here to me? That's why there's so many different names for God. Each and every one is real, true, and important. Thank you.
Each week, we practice generosity as a source of affirming our values by splitting our offering plate with UUCP and a local organization that shares our values. Collectively, we can make our offering more than just a habit. We can make it into an opportunity for recommitment, a recommitment to this place and to its people who help us create a more just and loving world. For January 2024, our Share the Plate partner is Mindfulness First. And I don't know if you guys were here last week, but Mindfulness First representatives were here, and they taught us a really amazing roller coaster of meditation. It was really cool. At Mindfulness First, they teach mental health life skills and education to kids and adults in a variety of settings, including schools, businesses, and communities. Their central teaching pillars are trauma understanding, mindful awareness, and social and emotional life skills. Their mission is to teach children and adults the practical skills and knowledge needed for lifelong mental health and well-being. May we be committed to using the gifts you give today to make a difference in our world. Ushers, thank you for your willing hands in this ritual of sacred giving.
our artist in residence, Nicole Pesci. Thank you. It is an important practice in our community to make time to share pieces of our lives with each other. Sharing them together, we can amplify our joys and lessen the burdens. If you are on Zoom today and you would like to share a joy or sorrow, please type it into the chat with a brief note of what's in your heart today. I will read aloud what you share. And there are cards in the back. I don't have any today, although I know that there are plenty of joys and sorrow in our hearts and our minds. As we open this sacred time to share in community, let us open our hearts to the joys and the sorrows that are shared together and those that remain still in our hearts with a moment of silence. We have a few joys and sorrows from online. First of all, from Peyton in our sound booth. Peyton, if you can stand, even though not everyone can see. Peyton says, Friday night I got accepted to my top college, Willamette University, a place with so many programs I wish to pursue, as well as a space that is supportive of kids of many different affinities, such as neurodivergency. Keep fingers crossed that all goes well and I will be able to attend. Congratulations, Peyton. And also from that group, last week we had said that Danny Doyle rejoiced that his father was doing well. And his father was actually admitted into the hospital earlier this week and is not doing well now. So we ask that you keep Danny in your thoughts as he goes through this with his family. And from Sandy and Don Weir, the Weirs are happy that Don's back surgery last Wednesday went well and the first days of healing are going fine. So we can continue to send you healing energy, Don. And from Maryland says, a joy, I will be meeting my great nephew for the first time this week. He just turned 1. And Bonnie Frazier says, I'm grateful that my first eye cataract surgery went smoothly. 1 more to go. Thanks for help from some UU friends and a visit from the Afghan refugee family I am tutoring to cheer me. Continued healing to you, Bonnie, as well. For all of our joys and our sorrows, those named and those in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, we send our love to each other here and online. That was adorable. I don't know who did that, but that was so cute. Love it. So when we are holding so much in our world and in our hearts, indeed even on our sidewalks, it is good to take some time to connect with our body and our spirit. Oftentimes this can be the only time we get to stop and do this in our busy weeks. Let us soften into the here and the now in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Let us be grounded in music and join us in the words of comfort if you feel like it helps you. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, comfort us. Comfort us from the anxieties of these troubled times. Give us comfort when we are worried about illnesses, surgeries, our loved ones, our mental well-being, relationships, finances. Give us respite from our griefs and give us resilience as we endure them. O great energy of the earth, comfort us. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. God of many names, we sing of all of the miracles of life. We celebrate the rain, new life, coming warmth, and the miracles of the desert. We delight in the joy of our children, the possibilities of new love, the opportunity of new jobs, new homes, new colleges, and second chances. We give gratitude for the beautiful talents and the presence of those here every week and the opportunity to learn from them. We sing the praises of science, of progress, of enlightenment, of choice, and of possibility. As we rejoice in another day of being alive, we sing. Comfort, speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. O Goddess of justice and compassion, let us speak out for those who do not have a voice. Let us speak their names, their countries, and their troubles. We anguish with the people of Palestine who are starving, homeless, without any medical care, and grieving. We also wait with the Israeli families who are waiting for their hostages to be released. We yearn for home with all of those who have been displaced in Ukraine. And we speak out in solidarity with those near and far who are experiencing racism, homophobia, transphobia, poverty, and the inequities of a society where care comes with privilege. May we hear those voices of the people experiencing oppression wherever and however it shows up, and speak for them. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Oh, great spark of hope, let us find comfort in the small miracles of our day. May we find joy in small moments of beauty, and may we find hope in those moments of connection that we find with our fellow human beings. May we be that love for others, to reflect the beauty that we see in them, and to model how to bring that love alive in the world. May our spirits be refreshed to make it another day, spreading that love where we can. Dance with our spirits and make us feel alive. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. O great love of the universe, be with us. Grant us comfort, accept our gratitude, delight with us, and inspire us in love today and every day. Amen, and blessed be.
So the topic today is something that I sometimes struggle with. Sometimes I think I have it figured out. Don't go to Chick-fil-A because they don't support our LGBTQIA family and community. Then when I tell somebody, no, I'd rather not eat at Chick-fil-A, they say, well, why not? And I say, well, they don't actually live into my morals and values. Then I hear oh, geez, we're in cancel culture. All of a sudden, cancel culture comes out. And I think, well, it's my right as a person to live into my morals and beliefs. But they're the same ones who espouse that cancel culture, are the same ones who claim to be supporting the Constitution and our First Amendment right to free speech. So it doesn't really always work out to me. My latest issue, though, I struggle with is Starbucks. I don't appreciate their resentment of the employees' efforts to unionize, as well as their current lawsuit against the few employee unions that exist because they posted a pro-Palestinian message on social media. So don't go to Starbucks, right? Well, here's the thing. I teach and I coach. And what's the most common gift that people give to teachers and coaches, aside from mugs, because mugs is a thing? Starbucks gift cards. So what do? If I don't use the gift card, it's already been paid for, so I'm basically just giving them money and not making them work for it, right? So I need to use the gift card. But I don't want to go there. So in comes Gen Z, because they have a solution for, well, everything, pretty much. I was talking to my oldest son, Dylan, about this quandary I had. And he said the best way to use the gift cards is to buy the least expensive thing on the menu, even if it's only a 25-cent cup of water, and then use the rest of the gift card as a tip. Boom! I get to use the gift card and help the employees. It may not be much, but maybe it'll brighten the day for a Starbucks employee who may not have gotten a good tip that day. It might not help them get a union, but hopefully they will know they are supported, and that's the whole idea behind this.
gonna need a minute. Also, how great does that new piano sound? Like, it's so beautiful on that. Nicole, thank you. I'm gonna try something. Oh, yeah. Okay. Computer glasses. Progressives. I'm getting this. I was about 12 years old when I first learned that there was a good and a bad way to consume products. My best friend's parents were boycotting Nestle because they were trying to convince women in poorer countries to use their new formulas to feed their babies rather than breast milk. My parents weren't progressive at all, and these kinds of conversations just didn't happen at my house. But at Keeley's house, they happened a lot. I learned from them that some people would make decisions about what to buy, where to shop, and what to eat based on the actions and morals of the companies that were selling to us. The next year, they told me about Burger King's fillet of fish because dolphins were getting caught in the fishing nets. I would just cry at night thinking of those poor dolphins. Fast forward, well, about 40 years maybe, and I feel like these decisions are taking up a permanent place in some obscure part of my brain. I feel like every decision I make is somewhat complicated by the moral quandaries of capitalism. I want to give you just a sample of what is in my brain on any given day. And it's a sign of how dominant this thinking this is in progressive circles that I'm actually worried about telling you about my consumption habits because I'm worried that you will judge me for my moral failures. Now, I do feel morally good and superior because I drive a plug-in electric hybrid car. I really want a fully electric car, but not a Tesla. I want an Ionic, but it's a really nice one. It feels too extreme. It feels like too much consumption and cost. Plus, I heard that it's worse for the environment to buy a new car than it is to just keeping the one that I already have for as long as I can. Many years ago, I started eating cage-free eggs because a friend told me that the hens couldn't even turn around in their cages. But now I am thoroughly confused between cage-free and free range and how much space are those hens actually getting. I felt guilty when I didn't cancel my Spotify subscription when they started carrying Joe Rogan's podcast spouting disinformation and racist speech. When Brené Brown removed her podcast from there, I was torn because I wanted to be a good consumer. But y'all, I'd spent years cultivating those playlists. I buy my books from bookshop.org instead of Amazon because those orders support small bookstores. But I admit that I still buy plenty from Amazon because the prices are low and, well, I'm a sucker for immediate gratification without having to enter a crowded store. I compost and I recycle, but I also buy a ton of food with tons of packaging. I've had lots of people in my life who have pushed me hard to become vegan or plant-based or pescatarian because cow byproduct creates over 50% of the methane in our environment. Fast food is bad, but farm to table is good. GMO is bad. Homegrown is good. Fresh and local is good, but also more expensive and not available to everyone. And I don't even know what organic means to anyone anymore. And I have to acknowledge that so many of these choices are based around my own privilege. I have enough income to make the moral choices around some of these areas. And that privilege also means I have a big place of guilt and privilege colliding in my home that has a pool that I love. But I have a pool in the most water-deprived part of the entire country. hundreds of gallons of water so I can swim and cool off. I must be a terrible human being, right? I am trying to be a good progressive. I really want to be a good girl. I want the gold star. I want to be able to look at my decisions and know where my morals are. I want to be informed, and I want my decisions, as small as they are, to make a difference. But honestly, I'm exhausted by all of this. Can anyone else relate? I thought that might be the case. So I've been thinking a lot about this mostly because I keep trying to make the right decision instead of thinking about why this is so hard. And after really thinking about the why, and honestly how it intersects with my faith, I am working to change my angst and shame around this. In 1994, Peter Drucker wrote a book called Post-Capitalistic Society. He predicted a society that would arrive somewhere between 2010 and 2020, where the original tenets of capitalism, trade and goods being controlled by individuals for profit, would evolve into the next level. He said that instead of it being run and benefiting individuals, it would be controlled by corporations and organizations. And he foretold of the bifurcation of society into two classes, what's called the knowledge class, where they have the information to control the organizations and corporations, and the service class that does the majority of the labor. He predicted that this shift would affect everything from the economy to politics to social norms to education. And I think in many ways we have moved from that free enterprise society, which, to be clear, was never free, to that post-capitalistic world that he envisioned. And I, for one, want to get off of the merry-go-round thinking that I can win at being good at this. First, I think that we are pursuing an impossible goal to do no harm. The truth is nothing that we consume is wholly good. There is some harm in everything we do. Even if we are cultivating the perfect food in our backyard, we still may need a chemical, or we're changing the soil, or we're introducing something non-native to the area. There is no such thing as non-harmful consumption. So I am chasing a fallacy. Second of all, I think that there is a real challenge in any kind of duality. Now, you all have heard me talk about this before. I have fully rejected the dualities that exist in other areas, man or woman, white or non-white, straight or queer, rich or poor. So why am I holding on to this duality to consider what is good or bad, and thinking that I can just make the right choice and land on the right side of that duality? How did I fall into this trap when I know that those dualities are not only not helpful, but they're also just not clear-cut? They don't exist that way. And then I take it a little bit further, because this is what Christine does. I take it to my faith, because my faith tells me that people don't fall into good and bad categories. There are not bad people. As we discussed last week, we believe in the inherent dignity and worthiness of all beings, and that love is a divine right of all of those beings. We don't believe in original sin or that people are inherently bad. As I reminded you, our universalist roots said that God sees our inherent goodness in all of us. We are good and whole and deserving. But somehow in this individualistic and capitalistic system, we are internalized that we need to do good instead of the fact that we are good, by our very fact of being human. Okay, Christine, there's no such thing as absolute non-harm. There's no duality of good versus bad. There are many shades between the two, and I don't need to do good in order to be good. Y'all, this is going to take me a lifetime to internalize. But then, still, I'm Christine. I took it another level. Because I realize that living in this post-capitalistic society is an oppressive system that I am trapped inside of. And I am this little pawn desperately trying to change it while I am also deeply entangled in it. The truth is while I understand that this country was built on capitalism, my ideal self yearns for something else. Instead of where the people who produce more money, produce more and that get to make more money, I really wish that we could all have access to whatever we need. And if some who needed it didn't have it, that we could work together as a community to make sure that they did have it. I wish that we weren't judged on how well we played the capitalistic game. I wish that it didn't seem that some people who played it well had more worth than others. I wish we were judged on how we treat each other, how kind we are, how we sowed peace, and how we spread love. In truth, I think I've wrestled more with how I am trapped within the oppressive systems of patriarchy, white supremacy, and heterosupremacy. I see them as complicated webs of history and societal norms and access and accepted belief, and I know that I am inextricably tied up in them and trying to actively resist them and untangle them away from my actions of belief. While I can't know all of the ways that I've benefited from them as a privileged white person, I acknowledge that I have indeed benefited. And I am actively looking for ways that I can dismantle them while I am inside of those systems and still benefiting. I think what I need to do is think of the systems as this post-capitalistic world in a similar fashion. I have the opportunity to look at all of the ways that I have benefited from it. And as someone who had a very lucrative career in the corporate world, I did benefit from it. And I get to see how we are entangled in it while actively resisting it and where it goes against our values. The question, like any system, is looking at it critically. Where have I benefited? Where have I been harmed? Who benefits the most? Who is oppressed the most out of this system? How do I resist it? How do I opt out? How can I actively change it while acknowledging that I am still deeply enmeshed in it? And if I am trying to do capitalism the right way, isn't that still just trying to win at capitalism? Am I trying to get to the moral ground, high ground, over other people who aren't doing capitalism as well as I am? Why am I being so individualistic about how I am achieving capitalism? Why, indeed, when I know that if the system collapses, if the environment collapses, we are all inextricably tied together. We're all going down together. So why this individualistic attack on this? So here's what I'm trying to do and think about instead. Instead of thinking, is this good or bad on the duality, I'm thinking, is this life-giving or life-limiting? I am not trying to be a better human. I am trying to just be human. And sometimes that's not that easy either. And I am trying not to think just about me, but about the very broadest we I can possibly imagine. And I am giving myself a big hug and a massive break for trying to be the Don Quixote that is trying to take down the windmill of an entire system with my tiny toothpick of a lance. Stop trying to win and recognize that I am part of the human web. Stop trying to always do good and be good. Stop taking on all of the moral stresses on my personal shoulders and acknowledge where we are inextricably tied together. Stop shame and extend compassion to myself and others. And keep envisioning that world that I so desperately want us to create, where we all take care of each other, where the humans have more weight than the corporations, where we all have what we need. I'm going to give that windmill a break and keep dreaming, hoping, and working for that world. I hope that you can have the same compassion and energy for yourself. So might it be.
So we are going to close with "We Shall Be Known" by Carissa Longater. The words will be on the screen for you. So let's listen as Nicole plays through it once, and please rise in spirit as you are able. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round and tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well.
As we close the service, I remind you that our congregational meeting will start right after worship. We'll need just a few minutes to turn things around, but there is food on the patio. Please support the anarchists as they support Stop Cop City, which is in Atlanta. They're working to build support around that here in Arizona. So that is what your money goes towards. And I invite you to fight capitalism by giving your money to the anarchists. But then come back for the meeting. Our children will still have programming starting at noon. Now go and forth and be human. Resist the binary. Resist the superior or unkind stories around your consumption, and dream of the world that you want. And know that we are bound together in love. Go in peace, go in love.